Good morning, everybody, or perhaps afternoon, or maybe evening. In any case, this is a recap of our time with desktop publishing thus far. So desktop publishing refers to printed works or any project that can be printed. So a poster, flyer, brochure, things that should be slightly familiar to us. So I'm first going to talk about the PARC principles and where we can find examples of some of them. So we know that the PARC principles consist of proximity, alignment, repetition, and contrast. Proximity refers to grouping related objects closely together. Alignment refers to lining up objects either horizontally or vertically. Repetition means that certain elements in a project are repeated. And contrast refers to the use of opposite colors. So on this flyer, we can see clear uses of some of the PARC principles. I would say at least 3 out of the 4. Right here on these lists of both the format tabs and these bullet points, we can see examples of both proximity and alignment at the same time. Proximity because they're grouped closely together, because they relate, and alignment because they are lined up vertically. Sometimes they go hand in hand, proximity and alignment, sometimes they don't. It really depends. And we can see a clear example of contrast right here through the use of opposite colors. The purple on top of the white star and the white star on top of the black triangle. So any use of opposite colors is an example of contrast. We don't really see repetition here. Nothing's really repeated unless you count the border, which I really don't. So I'm going to go over to this example of a poster, and we can see, in keeping with the Dunkin' Donuts theme, that these donut designs are an example, collectively, of repetition because they are elements in a project that are repeated. So we've been working with Publisher so far, mainly focusing on 4 of the important tabs at the top of the screen. Not to say that these ones aren't important, but for our purposes, these ones are more important. So the Home tab focuses on text-based options, so we can make our text bold, we can underline it, we can create a bulleted list, we can center things, change the font size, all that good stuff. On the Insert tab, we can place anything into our project that can't simply be typed. So like placing any picture, because we can't type a picture, placing a shape, a border, word art, which does need to be typed, but we can't choose these designs simply by typing. So these are all considered objects, so any objects that need to be placed in there can be done using the Insert tab. The Page Design tab can alter the overall appearance of your entire page, either by selecting a color scheme. Notice how it changed the look of the entire project. A color scheme is a set of colors used to enhance one's design. Sometimes it does not change all elements on a page, other times it does, to be one of those 4 colors. We can also change the background under the Page Design tab. So yeah, so if I choose, where is Parrot? That's one of my favorite ones. Here it is. So here's a parrot-themed Dunkin' Donuts poster. So yeah, page design, able to alter the appearance of your entire page. A Format tab only appears when we have an object clicked on, and that will allow us to change the appearance of that specific object. So like I can recolor this Dunkin' Donuts logo to be just blue if that's the color I wanted it, or I can do other things with it. Make it darker, make it lighter. I can add some kind of border to it. So you can do all kinds of different things. Anything that affects the object. If I click one of these donuts, I get the Drawing Tools Format tab, and I can use that to alter the color of that shape. When I click off an object, the Format tab disappears. Anyway, moving on. This page right here is portrait orient. This page right here is viewed in portrait orientation, which means it's taller rather than wider. If I go to page design and go to the orientation button and I change it to landscape, it will be more wide rather than tall. However, since this is already done, it might do some weird things. It doesn't move the objects on the screen, it just kind of turns the sheet of paper the other way. But if you had already started a project, you'd have to resize things like the border and the shapes to account for this change in, page orientation. So portrait is more vertical, landscape is more horizontal. So anyway, the background of this project begins with the G. It is great, yes, and it is green, but it's also a gradient. A gradient is a blending of two or more colors. So we can create a gradient background by clicking background under the page design tab. We have pre-made backgrounds that correspond to whatever color scheme we have selected. So if I select peach, we have peach themed colors, although no, that's not really too peach like. But we can fully customize the appearance of our gradient by going to more backgrounds. I'll drag this over here. Check off gradient fill, which mine is already. And then by clicking each of these gradient stops, we can alter the color of that area of the gradient. So I'll click this right one and then I'll change that to red. I changed that one to yellow a second ago. I'll click this white one and then how about blue? Okay, we can drag one of these stops over to get the color to be focused in a different area. I'll click OK, and now we have a 3-color gradient, actually. If we wanted to keep it to 2 colors, click one of these stops and remove it. But we can add a gradient stop wherever we want just by clicking that bar. Then we can change the color. And that's a nice warm gradient right there. Reminds me of summer. And summer is never too far away. Alright, and finally, I believe I mentioned this very briefly. In fact, I mentioned it by name. But WordArt is just a pre-made style of text that can be customized. So if I select this, I can choose whatever font I like for this. And unfortunately, some of the WordArts do not allow you to change the fill, so maybe I'll just select this one. And then we can make whatever customization we wanted to it, and also change its shape, which we may have gone to before. We may have had to do this before to get this wavy shape. So that's WordArt. I'm now going to recap the act of cropping a picture. So to crop means to cut out an outer area of the picture. So I'm in the mood for pizza right now. That looks good. Move this over. And with this clicked on, I can access the Format tab and go to the Crop button. Now I could click this upper part of the picture and then resize this frame here. Let's just say I only wanted this area. And there we go. But what we actually did before was we clicked the lower half and then we cropped this to a shape. So we got this picture to take on the form of a shape. So we could choose this diamond. And if we want to try another one, we could choose this plus sign. So we can cut out specific areas of a picture from the outside and get it to take on whatever shape we want. Something we can also do to change the appearance of our picture is to choose a picture style, like what we did with the brochure. So this is a nice TV-like setting. Gives us that. We can also choose this. However, it's worth noting that choosing a picture style will undo any cropping you did, at least with the shape option. So either by cropping or by choosing a picture style, one of those two will help kind of make your picture stand out rather than it just being a flat square. All right, each picture can stand out in its own way. One last thing. Let's just say that this was the title of my project. The title of just about anything is always going to be written in a larger size than everything below it. That's what's referred to as keeping the text proportional based on its importance. So proportional text refers to keeping text a certain size based on its location or importance. The title is arguably going to always be the most important thing because that's what draws in the viewer, and then everything else after that will be written, in a slightly smaller size. Let's just say that this is the rest of the text on the page. The rest of the text is smaller than the title. It wouldn't make sense for a paragraph to be written larger than the title at the top. That wouldn't make much sense if you think about it. And that is about it. So I feel this is a pretty good recap of our time with desktop publishing so far, and hopefully that can help us out with the review and for our upcoming quiz. See you later.